I want to talk about an incredible book that just hit our radar. Aeromasters Celebrating a Century of the American Fighter Pilot. This isn't just a book, it's a visual masterpiece. It features over 2 years of original research, incredible stories of bravery, and jaw-dropping aerial photography. It's the perfect addition to any home and a spectacular gift for the history or aviation fan in your life. Don't miss out on this limited edition commemorative book. Do yourself a favor, open up your podcast app right now and click the direct link in our show notes to order your copy of Aeromasters. It truly honors the American hero. The grill is fired up, the fireworks are prepped, but let's be honest, when the sun goes down or the humidity gets to be too much, you need the perfect movie to put on. Now, we aren't talking about just any mindless summer blockbuster. We are talking about films with real historical meat on the bone, stories of grit, revolution, and incredible American sacrifice. So today we're giving you the ultimate holiday watch list. We've split the deck for this episode. Jen has her top 5 historical movies, and I've got my top 5. And we are going to dive into all 10. We'll tell you exactly what these films got right and what these films got wrong. From bullet-ridden beaches to tanks in tight quarters, we are separating history from Hollywood fiction. Grab your popcorn, pour a cold drink, and let's get into it. All right, Jen, we're going to start from the bottom up. Now, for folks watching this episode and listening, Jen sounds a little different because she is actually on a boat somewhere in Maine, right? So she's doing her American cruise line. She's looking very patriotic for our listeners, a very red, white, and blue star-spangled shirt. So very America 250. Now, for our audience, again, thank you for 5-star reviews. I saw we got a couple more on Apple Podcasts. Keep that going because that really, really does help us as we continue to get more guests and people reaching out. That kind of gives us that street cred. So we really appreciate you guys leaving us reviews. And we actually got a fair amount more on Spotify as well. So thank you all for doing that. Now, Jen, I've titled this episode The Ultimate 4th of July History Movie Guide. And you and I were kind of workshopping ideas because we needed to do a podcast while you were traveling. So 4th of July weekend, a lot of people have 3, maybe even a 4-day weekend. What is number 5 on your list for 4th of July historic movies to watch?
So it's because I'm here in Maine and I've done a lot of talk about this one particular person who is one of the heroes of Little Round Top. And if you are a fan of the channel, you know that I champion Strong Vincent on Little Round Top. But I had to give credit where credit was due. And I talked a lot about Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and the bayonet charge at Little Round Top when he runs out of ammunition, far left flank of the Union line, the second day of battle, July 2nd, 1863. And he does this wagon wheel maneuver where he bayonet charges the Confederates, scares them away, and really is successful. He does receive the Medal of Honor for that maneuver, and he is from Maine. So Gettysburg is my 5th movie, made in 1993. It is an epic, so be ready to watch a long movie. But if it's the 4th of July...
How long is it? I don't know the last time that I watched it.
4 hours.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty long. I mean, but you've got to think they're showing you a lot of the lead up, the battles, right? And a lot of that human interaction on the Union side and on the Confederate side.
And this is one of those movies you can just turn on while you're like making lunch and barbecue. You can have this on. If you have people over, you just turn this movie on. You let it run for 3 to 4 hours.
Oh, definitely. And you get great actors in it, right? Martin Sheen is playing Robert E. Lee. Jeff Daniels plays Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, right? Maxwell Caulfield, Michael Carrington from Grease 2 is Strong Vincent.
So now what did this movie get right and what did this movie get wrong?
So again, it's a movie, it's 4 hours, so it's just going to depict some key moments of Gettysburg. So what it gets right is it's showing you the popular moments and what we know, What it gets wrong is it doesn't show you everything. It can't really, and it doesn't go into more of the smaller stories. It pushes people into one character and shows you the theme of what's happening. But I think it gets more right than it gets wrong. The older people in it, and I think we've talked about this, that it's young people who fought this war. So those kind of things. But I will say it's shot on location. It has a lot of reenactors in it.
Yep.
And it is a labor of love. Some of the actors are a little older than who they portray. But I would say Gettysburg, if you want to see the turning point in American history, more men died in that battle, that war, than all other wars combined. It's fought July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 1863. So if you're looking for something to commemorate the 4th of July, Gettysburg is your movie.
Okay, my number 5. So my number 5, I'd say it covers a wide span of history, right? And what this movie, I'll tell you what it got right before I tell you the actual movie. So what this movie got right was the kind of the atmosphere of the Vietnam War draft lottery. So there's a sequence in this movie where a platoon of soldiers get ambushed in the Mekong Delta. It really captures kind of a lot of the reality of what Vietnam vets came back and said, what happened over there, kind of standard operating procedures for the war, a heavy reliance on foot patrol, moving through dense jungle over there, and a vital reliance on calling in massive napalm airstrikes to clear the wood line. So could you guess what my number 5 would be? I know that's pretty broad with the Vietnam.
Apocalypse Now?
No, it's not quite. So what this movie got wrong.
Was it Forrest Gump?
It was Forrest Gump. So what it got wrong was actually something a little bit later was a timeline of the Black Panther Party meeting. So when Forrest accidentally crashes the Black Panther Party meeting in Washington, D.C., the scene is set right after the October of 67 march on the Pentagon. However, the Black Panther Party didn't actually establish a formal chapter or presence in D.C. until early 1970. So like a typical historical movie, it compresses events, right? And that's going to be a theme as we go through here. But yeah, Forrest Gump, it's a classic. Tom Hanks, I mean, it covers all different parts of major key points in American history. And I thought that was a great one. So Forrest Gump, 1994. If you want a great movie to put on this 4th of July weekend, that's a great one. Now, Jen, what do you have for your number 4? And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by my number 4. So I'm going to let you go first.
I wonder if we have the same number 4. Number 4 is Rocky 4.
No, that's not what I have. Okay. So tell me about why you picked Rocky 4. I know that's very America, classic Jen pick right there. So why don't you tell me what Rocky 4 got right and what it got wrong, and of course, why you picked Rocky 4.
I don't think Rocky 4 got anything wrong. So it's 1985. It's the end of the Cold War, but Rocky is fighting a Russian, and you have Apollo Creed, one of my favorite characters ever in movie history, Apollo Creed. He's killed in this, but he comes out to that great song, Living in America. He's just as George Washington.
That's a great pick, by the way, for 4th of July weekend, Rocky 4. That's a great pick. I did not think you were going to go that route.
And the soundtrack is just amazing. Anytime I need to be fired up to do push-ups or to work hard in the gym, I put on Burning Heart from Rocky 4. Isn't
that where he's in the sno with the log on his shoulders? Yeah.
Yes. It's when he gets off the plane and sees the Russian flag, and he's so fired up to fight for America, and he's avenging Apollo Creed. I just love Rocky 4. I love the poster. We used to have the poster in our garage. Remember, Scott, with Rocky with the American flag around his back? I just think that movie is so patriotic about the American dream, about how Americans don't give up, how Americans fight till the end. And here we're fighting this massive Russian who's supposed to be the epitome of physical fitness, and he wins. And then Rocky single-handedly ends the Cold War with his speech at the end of the movie.
So I'm not even going to bother asking you again what it got right or what it got wrong, because I think our audience can draw that conclusion. That's a fantastic pick. All right, so here is what my number 4 got right. Right. Again, I'm going to give you what it got right before I actually say the movie. And I'm pretty sure Jen's going to key in on this one pretty fast. So what my number 4 movie got right was the dirty politics of the Reynolds pamphlet. Right. The entire dramatic fallout of Mr. Alexander Hamilton's public confession to an extramarital affair to clear his name of financial corruption is entirely true. Right. The musical even uses direct quotes and specific phrasing lifted straight out of Hamilton's actual 1797 published pamphlet. So my number 4 is the 2020 movie, Broadway brought to movie, Hamilton. And Jen, I thought you would appreciate that because American history right there, very patriotic. Now there's plenty of stuff that I think that it got wrong. And we've talked about that a little bit, but I'll call out one that I think a lot of people don't key in on as much, and that's Angelica, right? So Angelica, she's framed as this fiercely independent woman who fell in love with Hamilton at the party, right? The song Satisfied. So she sings that she has to step aside and give him to Eliza because she's the oldest daughter and her social duty is to marry rich. And that actually wasn't true at all. So she had already been married when Angelica actually in real life, when she met Alexander Hamilton in 1780, she wasn't a single bachelorette. She had already eloped 3 years earlier in 1777 with John Barker Church. And so he was a wealthy British businessman and contractor for the Continental Army. So she didn't have to marry rich. I think one of the other things that they have her singing is that she had no brother, when in real life, her father, I think, had like 15 kids. She was one of 15 or something like that. And she had a bunch of brothers. Yeah. So again, some historical liberties there for the Broadway play and kind of to create the Broadway drama. But I had to put Hamilton on there because, again, that's another good one. You could put that on in the background. If you have people over at your house, people are going to be singing along with the songs. I will drop everything that I'm doing just to watch the guy, King George sing, because he's my favorite character in Hamilton. I absolutely love the guy who plays King George in Hamilton. That's my absolute favorite song. It just makes me laugh so hard every time I see it.
Yeah, so Hamilton, the reason why they use that storyline with Angelica is some letters that were written between Hamilton and Angelica. They're very affectionate. But the thing is, at the time, when you marry into a family, you do actually become like the pseudo brother. And there is a lot of affection written back and forth in these letters between Angelica and Hamilton. But that familiarity, today, we take that as something more, meaning something more. And so that's kind of where that came from when it was being written. Although historians don't believe there was any romantic interest between Angelica and Hamilton. And we love Chris Jackson. He's been so great to our channel. Yep. He's going to be re-performing as George Washington in Hamilton. And
that's right.
And like you said, Scott, we can put it on any time, the soundtrack in the background, and we know the songs, they're catchy, and they're talking through American history. So it's really fun. It is great for the 4th of July. It can definitely be your music soundtrack that day.
Yeah. No, I thought that was a good one. Okay, Jen. Number 3, we're working our way up the charts here. Now, I do have some honorable mentions at the end.
I do too.
Okay, good.
I do too.
All right. I figured you would. Because once I started getting into this list, it was hard to pick just 5. So what's your number 3 on your list?
So I actually had to do like a slash because both of these movies do a really good job of showing you the humanity of warfare. It's just different times in American history and different battles. So I had to put Saving Private Ryan. I think everyone needs to watch that movie. I think everyone needs to watch the sacrifice that the men made that day, especially the depiction of D-Day at Omaha Beach. But I also feel like Black Hawk Down is also a really great depiction of sacrifice and what our soldiers did. It's more current. So Saving Private Ryan is 1998. Black Hawk Down is 2001. Private Ryan is World War II. Black Hawk Down is Mogadishu in the Battle of Somalia. So I just feel like the sacrifice it shows and the people we honor and the people who have sustained America and given their lives for America, it's a really good depiction of both of that. And actually out here in Maine, I'm going to be telling one of those stories from Black Hawk Down, one of those Medal of Honor recipients. You know, what it gets right the humanity
Yep.
right? What it gets wrong is a lot of these battles, again, like you said, it's got a kind of compressed, and they're not showing you this huge timeline between the fighting because they're trying to put it all together in a movie, in a timeline, in a story. But I think it gets the heart of the matter right. So both of these movies I can actually watch, especially if I'm doing something else, if I'm working or if I'm working out, I can watch both of these movies. And I think both of them every American should see.
Yeah. All right. So my number 3, I'll just jump right into this one. So my number 3 was The Patriot, 2000. And I know everybody knows tons of stuff that it got wrong, but some of what it got right really was the brutal nature of that Southern campaign, right? So it really captures how nasty and personal the Revolutionary War became in the South, because it wasn't just a formal line of redcoats. It was neighbor against neighbor, guerrilla warfare. So that's really what it's depicting in that movie. And I think that's the one clear thing that it got right, was the depiction of that. Now, what it got wrong, I'll call out something specific, was the church burning scene. So when, Colonel Tavington, he locks an entire town, civilians, inside a church and burns it to the ground. There's no historical record of them ever doing something like that. Now, there is record of the British burning certain buildings down. If there are supplies stored in a church, they would do that, but never any record of them locking an entire town inside of a church and burning that down. So that's one of the many things that got wrong. But The Patriot, it's Mel Gibson, right? And I can picture the movie poster in my head with Mel Gibson all determined, holding the flag. It's again, that's another good one that you could turn on. It's very kind of rah-rah America. So The Patriot was my number 3.
So I do love The Patriot. Yes. So in that moment, there's a retreat happening and he grabs the flag, right? And rallies the men.
Yeah.
So what I love about The Patriot is I remember them being on set and the actors were like asking, they had a Smithsonian historian there and they were like, is this how it happened? And he was like, oh, no. Is this how the flags? No. And he goes, well, why are we doing it like this? Because it's a movie. And he was just there to be the advisor. But really, they weren't doing anything that was really done.
They're like, okay, what are we paying you for, man?
But it is a great acting, right?
Yeah.
The acting is great. And the sacrifice it's showing you is great. And what these families were really sacrificing for a chance at freedom, what they believed in, and even the British, right? How they were feeling about everything at the time as well. So it does a good job with Cornwallis. And I like to see Cornwallis depicted as well. So that was cool. But yeah, The Patriot it's a crowd favorite.
It's another good one you can put on the background. Now I'm going to jump ahead and say my number 2, because you've already mentioned it. And my number 2 is Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah.
So my number 2 is Saving Private Ryan. It's hard not to have that movie in the top 5 of any historical military movie type list. So again, we know our audience, most people who've seen Saving Private Ryan know it got right, that realism at Omaha Beach. Right. They said that historians and World War II veterans alike said that was the most realistic depiction they saw of Omaha Beach that they've ever seen in any movie. Now, what it got wrong, I'll call out something specific, because when I was doing my research last night, I thought this was kind of interesting. So the tactical logic of that final bridge battle is actually there's a little bit of right mixed in with a fair amount of wrong in there. Some of the close-in tactics of the American soldiers, they was right. Some of the things that they would do with Molotov cocktails and stuff like that. But the actual, the fictional town, that climactic battle in the fictional town of Rommel, features American soldiers fighting tigers and panthers, these tanks, at point blank range. In reality, American airborne troops in Normandy were highly trained to avoid these head-on urban firefights. Now, I know this was necessary, in the storyline. And also, the German tanks used in the movie, they moved deep into narrow streets without infantry support. And that was very counter to very standard, very rote German tactics, because German commanders knew that was essentially a suicide mission if you didn't send in troops ahead of time to clear the way for the tanks. So there was kind of right and wrong mixed in with this particular final battle. But I just thought that was very interesting that they, again, made it work for the movie. But the actual tactics of the Germans, when I was looking this up, it basically said they would almost never do that because they knew there was a surefire way to kind of get their tank blown up or something like that.
Sure.
So that was kind of one of the few things, but Saving Private Ryan, one of the best movies ever. So
Yeah.
I had to call up my number 2 because you had already mentioned it. So what's your number 2?
Well, I have to say, too, I spoiler alert, I love the end of Saving Private Ryan because the thing that blows up the tank is a plane.
Yeah.
So the pilot comes in at the end and saves the day. And I love that.
That was actually another thing when I was looking this up that they said they kind of got wrong because it was a little more rare for them to be that accurate, that close with a tank busting bomb.
Sure.
Right? So while it was cool and while it was like it sung to your pilot heart, that was actually one of the things that called out when I was looking up, like, hey, what to get right, what to get wrong. There was like, it was actually pretty rare for, especially I think it was a Mustang P-51 that came in. It was like, it was really, really rare for them to be able to hit a tank that close with a tank busting bomb to kind of save the day at the end. So again, but it was fantastic for the movie.
It's very movie magic, and I loved it.
So
my number 2, Scott, you're going to understand. It's 1942, Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Oh, of course. Yes. You love that one. Yeah.
I love this movie. I've loved it since I was a little girl. I can put this on anytime. I actually do watch it every 4th of July.
Yeah.
This is the story of George M. Cohan. This is the story. It's James Cagney at his best, tap dancing down the White House steps as he gets the Congressional Medal of Honor from President Roosevelt. It's everything.
Is there anything this movie actually got right, or is it more just a musical, kind of just waving the flag?
It got a lot wrong. Okay. Cohan was married twice, very scandalous marriages, made headlines. It depicts him in this movie as a very proper man who gets married to one woman. She's kind of a creation of, he has 2 wives, kind of creation of both wives. He has children. They're not depicted at all in the movie. It shows him unionizing and helping the actors. Cohan did not do that at all. Actually put in a rift with the actors because he refused to join the union. So it actually gets a lot of stuff wrong there. And it also says he's born on the 4th of July. Actually, Cohan was born on July 3rd. But it's so patriotic. It shows the history of America through vaudeville and then to Broadway. And of course, the songs that George M. Cohan actually did write, Grand Old Flag and Over There. I love that the ending when he's walking with the troops as they're singing Over There and they're like, don't you know the words? And I love that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I also really enjoy about this movie is the patriotism in the songs and that grow through the movie. But this was made in 1942. They were filming this movie when the bombing of Pearl Harbor happened.
Oh, wow.
And because they were filming this movie when the bombing of Pearl Harbor happened, they really went all in to get this American spirit in this movie. So there are parts of it where there's just people marching with American flags, and they make hundreds of American flags.
So they turned it up to 11.
They turned it up to 11. So if you want to see something very patriotic, Uncle Sam dancing around, the Statue of Liberty dancing around, the Cohans are depicted as the most patriotic family of Broadway. So, and of course it's James Cagney, who I love. So yeah, I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy fan.
All right. Okay. Well, I won't try to go too far into what it got right because it sounds like it wasn't much other than the American spirit that it was portraying in America at the time. All right. So I'm going to go with my number 1 and then we'll let you do your number 1. And we have some honorable mentions. So stick around for honorable mentions because I think I got 2 honorable mentions and I think you're going to like both of them. So my number 1, this is what it got right. Pretty sure you're going to be able to guess this. So what it got right. So the National Archive security protocols. There you go. You knew it right away. So this film fairly accurately describes how protected the Declaration of Independence is. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights are lowered every night into a massive 50-ton climate-controlled vault deep beneath the building to protect them from light, humidity, and theoretically, treasure hunters. So my number 1 is National Treasure, the 2004 classic. This is truly one I can watch this over and over because it strikes all those chords of like treasure hunting, a little bit of Indiana Jones, and there's some historical facts sprinkled in with a whole lot of fiction. Now, what it got wrong, this was actually one thing that I thought was interesting. So it got right kind of security protocols around this incredibly important document for America. But what it got wrong was the Masonic status of Charles Carroll. So the movie kicks off with Charles Carroll passing on the treasure secret as the last surviving signer and a Freemason. Now, while he was the last signer, he was the last living signer, so he died in 1832, he was a devout Roman Catholic and the only Catholic to sign the document. Because the Pope had strictly banned Catholics from joining Masonic lodges in 1738, Carroll was definitely not a Mason. So I thought that was interesting, right?
Yeah.
But again, national treasure, Nick Cage, just classic. I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. And, I couldn't not put it on there as my number one, just because I put it as number one, mostly because I probably enjoy this movie the most out of all these movies that I've listed.
Well, it's enjoyable because it gives you the real American history and how it could lead you to the truth of this missing treasure, right? So it does take you to Independence Hall and the Old North Church and you're going to Wall Street. So it's taking you on this actual historic adventure that could be plausible, maybe, but I enjoy National Treasure myself because it does use that knowledge, that historical knowledge in real time to take you on an adventure. So yeah, I actually have that as an honorable mention because I do love that movie so much. And like you said, Carroll was the oldest signer, and to take the Declaration of Independence, like you said, it's so protected. I think it's a really good symbol to our country, how much we protect those founding documents and how much those founding documents really mean a lot to us as Americans, because we're still living that ideal. We're still living that framework, even 250 years later. So it's neat to know our archive is still so protected like that because we value those things so much. So that is true. And I did enjoy that. And I did enjoy when he was stealing it, how he was like committing treason. He took a drink. My number one.
Your number one.
Is probably no surprise to anybody. My number one is It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
And it's because it is, even though it's not really a 4th of July movie, people try to say it's a Christmas movie because at the end it is Christmas. But the thing about It's a Wonderful Life is it's depicting a wonderful American life.
Sure.
And what that would look like as you're living this traditional American life and what you're doing as an American to really push our story forward, to really support the American ideal as somebody who's just living everyday life in a small town. And so I just love that story because it's Jimmy Stewart coming back from serving in the war, and he's betraying somebody who didn't get a chance to serve in the war. And his brother, who's actually more so what Jimmy Stewart was in real life, is the one who gets all the credit and the accolades. But in the end, he gives it back to his brother. And I think that is our American story, right? Our American story is all of us together is what pushes this story forward. The ones who are in the front lines and fight, the ones who stay home and support, the ones who do the other side of the hill, like working in government and taking care of the people. It's all of it together is what's kept America strong for 250 years. And I think this movie does a very good job of depicting that. And so, it's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. I'm surprised you put that in this list, but once you frame it in that, I can see why, right? And you're such a fan of that movie. It's probably going to sneak its way onto any movie list that you ever do. Now, I do have some honorable mentions, so I'm just going to go ahead and mention my 2 honorable mentions, and I'll let you mention yours.
Okay.
So this movie came out in 1989, and I think a lot of people probably would put this in their top 5, and that's the movie Glory. So classic American history, Civil War movie. So one of the things it got right was the depiction of the assault on Fort Wagner, right? So that battle scene at the end, it kind of captures all the tactics in the 54th Massachusetts that it faced on July 18th, 1863, charging down that narrow strip of open beach. So that there's actually a lot of things this movie got right. Now, one of the things it got wrong was really the composition. And you and I have talked about this. It was the composition of the regiment. So except for Colonel Shaw, most of the main characters in the movie, right, so played by Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Jimmy Kennedy, are depicted as escaped Southern slaves. So in reality, the vast majority of the men were free Black citizens from states like Massachusetts, New York, Ohio, many of whom were actually very highly educated, owned property, and had never been enslaved. So that's one of the things that it got wrong. And I'm just going to jump into my second honorable mention. You're going to love this one. 1975, Jaws. So Jaws happens on the 4th of July. It's a 4th of July weekend movie. And we talk about when you went to the location, and then we talked about the movie itself. So there's plenty of things that I actually got right. So Jaws is based on, some events in that area that happened with a shark that was attacking people. And then obviously with Quint, him talking about the USS Indianapolis, that's very historical and fairly accurate. I think some of the numbers were off a little bit about what he talks about, but his kind of depiction in that classic scene, I mean, that scene is one of the scenes that people remember from that movie. They're sitting on the boat and he's telling this story, and it just sucks you right in as he's recounting his experience as a Marine, one of the few surviving Marines from that, which is, again, also accurate. So just Jaws is a great one. Another 4th of July weekend movie that you could turn on in the background. So what are your honorable mentions, Jen?
So I have two as well. You're going to like my second one probably more than my first one. My first one is The American President.
Oh, I almost tried to get that one on the list.
So 1995, Michael Douglas, Annette Bening. It's so great as a young president who really is an idealist, right? And trying to do the best for his country. And then a young woman who he comes in contact with, also idealist. She wants the Frank Capra moments, right? Frank Capra is who directed It's a Wonderful Life at the White House. And so the two of them coming together for their country and the idealism of America as they're wrestling with a lot of mud being slung at them and stuff like that. So I really do love that movie. It's depicted in the White House and dealing with diplomats and stuff like that. So I really do love American President. I could put that on anytime as well. And I just enjoy the acting. But my second honorable mention, you're going to love, Scott, is 1981's Indiana Jones. And
I almost put that number one. I kept it off the list specifically because I was trying to go in. I almost put that as my number one.
Because he's American and he is also fighting technically against the Nazis at the time, but he's using history to try to save an artifact from getting into the wrong hands, right? And so here's an American, again, this idealism that through our knowledge, through what we know, that we're trying bad versus good and against, the Germans. It's trying to save the lost Ark. And so I just really love that movie and just how Americans and the adventure and how we're so capable and how we can do it. It's all depicted in that, and a great movie. Again, we can watch it anytime.
I just watched it the other day. So I'm changing my mind. I'm wiping the whole slate. That's going back as my number one. Push everything else down.
Yes. So it's a good American movie, Indiana Jones, The Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Awesome. Well, folks, let us know what your top movies are. Obviously, I should have said this in the beginning, but let us know what your top 4th of July. Yeah, I mean, there's classic ones like Independence Day, right? That's a 4th of July movie, but it's not really historical. So let us know what you guys are watching over the 4th of July weekend, and maybe we can do another follow-up movie guide here in the future.
Yes. So thank you. Have a great 4th of July. Get out there and celebrate our country. Do something fun. Get out in the history in your own backyard and celebrate this country. We all have to do our part in keeping this story alive and just preserving our freedom and our patriotism. And if we can do it with a little storytelling and movies, why not?
Well, that wraps up our 10 movie picks for your 4th of July long weekend. We hope this gives you plenty of great options to fire up on the TV while you're recovering from the holiday heat or waiting for the fireworks to start. If you decide to watch any of these over the weekend, drop us a line or leave us a comment on our YouTube channel and let us know who won the battle of the lists, Jenn's top 5 or my top 5. If you're planning a real-world history road trip this summer instead of just watching them on the screen, make sure to download our mobile app, History or Drive. It's the ultimate map-based travel app built to help you find incredible historic locations and videos right near you wherever you're driving. You can grab it right now at historyordrive.com. We appreciate you sharing your holiday weekend with us. Have a safe and happy 4th of July, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
This has been a Walk with History production. Talk with History is created and hosted by me, Scott Benny. Episode researched by Jennifer Benny. Check out the show notes for links and references mentioned in this episode. Talk with History is supported by our community at thehistoryroadtrip.com. Make sure you hit that follow button in that podcast player, and we'll talk to you next time. How many times have you driven past a piece of history without even knowing it? Stop missing out. The History or Drive app puts over 500 historic locations right on your screen, revealing the incredible stories hidden just off the highway. Follow our trail with expert-led videos, podcasts, and one-click GPS directions, all for a launch price of just $2.50. Don't just drive, discover. Visit historyordrive.com today.